Abraham Zagdoun Chaim's teachings, Parashat Re'eh, 5780. Parashat Re'eh begins like this. See that I am presenting to you today a blessing and a curse. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is giving us both a blessing and a curse. It sounds like good versus bad, but the truth is something else. He presents us with two options, the good and the very good, Tov and Tov Me'od. In this world, the good is called good and appears as a blessing. Blessings come with goodness, but the real Tov Me'od, the very good, we perceive negatively as a curse, and we call it bad. But the truth is that the Tov Me'od, the very good, which is much better than the Tov, the goodness, is actually concealed within what we consider a curse. Our sages of blessed memory said in the Midrash, Bereshit Rabbah, chapter 9, section 2, in the Torah scroll written by Rabbi Meir, they found a change in the wording. Instead of the words Vehine Tov Me'od, he wrote Vehine Tov Mavet, instead of, and behold, this is very good. He wrote, and behold, this is good death. Shmuel Bar Nachman said, once I was being carried on the shoulders of my grandfather, as we were ascending from his town to Kfar Hanan, and passing through Bet Shean, and I heard Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar sitting and teaching in the name of Rabbi Meir. Ve'ine Tov Me'od is actually Ve'ine Tov Mavet. In this world, the true, very good, which is better than the regular goodness, which we are familiar with, seems to be a curse, a klala. It appears in the form of death and calamities, as the Midrash states on this same verse, in Midrash Bereshit Rabbah, chapter 9, section 11. And behold, this is very good, is the evil inclination, Yetzer Hara, and is the attribute of calamities. And the reason behind this phenomenon, that the very good appears to us as negative and harmful, because we are trying to understand what we are experiencing with the normal consciousness and cognitive abilities that we use in this world. We are using our natural da'at, awareness, and sechel, intelligence. So we are being funneled into behavior that does not want to receive this Tov Me'od, and we therefore will always be requesting the blessings and the goodness as we perceive things today, and will always be distancing ourselves from what we experience as bad, evil, and a curse. But we must know and understand that from HaKadosh Baruch Hu there is no such thing as a curse coming forth. Chas v'shalom. And that is why the verse here says, see that I am presenting to you today a blessing and a curse. And the precise wording in Lashon HaKodesh for presenting is noten lifnechem, which literally means giving in front of you, which is actually extra wording, since Hashem Yitbarach could have said more simply, I am giving a blessing. So we can understand now that this extra word is hinting to our perception that the difference between the blessing and the curse is only in the way we perceive what is coming from Hashem. In front of you, lifnechem, the way you relate to it, because from Hashem Yitbarach blessings and curses do not come forth. There is only an emanation of one simple, amazing, and magnificent light, which is entirely one and entirely goodness, as stated in Megillat Echa, chapter 3, verse 38. From the supreme mouth, the bad things and the good do not come forth, but rather, it is only the way that we perceive things as a blessing or as a curse. Whereas the light and the goodness which we are able to comprehend with the cognitive tools and the da'at that we have today are experienced as goodness and blessings. and the light of the very good, the Tov Meod, which we do not yet have the tools to process and absorb, we call this a curse. But all of this differentiation comes from our current form of comprehension in this world, what the Torah calls in front of you. There is a basic concept here brought forth in the writings of Rabbi Tzadok HaKohen from Lublin, Dover Tzedek, section 3. It says like this: all of the curses in Mishneh Torah, the book of Dvarim, are actually hidden blessings in disguise. And in another essay he wrote, Tzidkat HaTzadik, in Tzidkat HaTzadik, section 170, Moshe Rabbeinu, may he rest in peace, was full of love for Israel, and therefore it cannot be that he would curse them, but rather within each of the curses there is a concealed blessing which cannot be received other than through the curse. Rabbi Menachem Mendel of Rimenov wrote in the book called Ilana Dechaye, in Parashat Kitavo, all of the curses in the Torah are blessings which are covered up and disguised to keep the forces of evil from understanding. Rabbi Nachman of Breslev, in the tale of the 7 beggars, in his book of Tales from Ancient Days, tells the story of the 6th day. The 6th beggar, and there he informs us that there is one specific tzaddik who can cure all of Israel from all of the spiritual illness which have latched onto them, because each and every soul of Israel is called the princess. And when the soul descends into this world, she has 10 arrows thrown at her. All of the 10 arrows of evil, which are the negative attributes and all of the illness that a person is affected by in this world. But Israel themselves are totally clean of all and any sin or badness whatsoever. They are absolutely pure and clear, and whatever negative attributes they seem to have are no more than the result of these 10 arrows which entered each person when he came into this world. And there is a very great and true tzaddik who has the ability to cure the princess. He heals Israel and cleanses them from all of the badness in this world. And thereby, he reveals the charm and the true beauty of Israel, because this tzaddik can extract all of the evil arrows which penetrated our souls. And in that story, Rabbi Nachman clarifies that this tzaddik does not extract these arrows, but even more, that this tzaddik himself is the one who threw these evil arrows into us, and that is why he has the power to heal us. And in order to sweeten and rectify these negative things, which are called dinim, judgments, he has to ascend to the source of the din, from where these arrows were derived, because the din cannot be rectified from anywhere other from its source. In the Likutei Moran, Torah 41. And therefore, he himself has to be the one who throws the arrows, but for sure, he has no intent to hurt us, chas v'shalom, and these arrows eventually will be shown to be doing no harm. But to the contrary, precisely because he throws these arrows with the apparent aspect of curses and dinim, this itself is the way that he extracts these arrows and heals Israel completely. This story is bringing forth the aspect of the curses which are written in the Torah. These curses are not there in order to curse us, chas v'shalom, if we failed and committed a sin. And not only if we just made a mistake once, but even if someone transgressed the entire Torah thousands of times, none of these curses are coming to curse Israel under any circumstances whatsoever. Chas v'shalom. Because Israel are totally pure and clean of all and any kind of sin or badness, and whatever negative attributes that they seem to have are nothing more than these external arrows which seem to have become part of them. And the curses written in the Torah are the aspect of these arrows coming from the true tzaddik, because the Torah is the light of this tzaddik. And the written curses are the throwing of these arrows with which the soul of each of Israel will eventually be totally healed, and through which the real, deepest, hidden beauty and grandeur of these souls will be revealed before Kadosh Baruch Hu. And only through these curses will it be possible to extract and remove the evil arrows from within us. And just like the tzaddik in the tale of the 7 beggars told by Rabbi Nachman, on the 6th day he was able to cure the princess with the power that he has to shoot these 10 arrows and to extract them afterwards. So it is with the Holy Torah and the curses written in the Torah. They are not there in order to curse and hurt us in any way, chas v'shalom, but the opposite is true. The Torah is throwing these arrows into us as a preparation for the eventual extraction of these arrows. Rabbi Nachman brings forth in that story that the princess was running away from those chasing her, and she escaped into a fortress which was made of water. Everything there was only different shapes of water. There was nothing over there other than water. The floor and the food and the roof were all made of water. And she was lying there exhausted from the chase, wounded by the arrows which were thrown at her. And only the greatest tzaddik has the ability to enter a realm which is entirely water, without sinking and drowning. Only this person is the one who can cure her. What is this realm which is entirely water? This is the world which is the absolute oneness. This is, so to say, and no one other than the greatest tzaddik can enter this world of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, of the total oneness. And only this one person can cure Israel and reveal the charm and the beauty within us. And this is the essence of Moshe Rabbeinu, who is the embodiment of the soul of the tzaddik. And his name, Moshe, comes from the term used by the princess of Mitzrayim, of Egypt, who pulled him out of the waters, which in Lashon HaKodesh sounds like this: Mishe'etehu, a word that has the same root as the name Moshe, Mem Shin He. So we see that his Moshe's name is connected with the essence of pulling out of the water, because none other than this great tzaddik alone can redeem Israel. And this tzaddik has within himself the essence of the water, as we see that he himself came from the water and was extracted from the water, from the realm which is entirely water. Everything is absolute oneness, and from therein, from this realm, the source of everything, he can bring our healing. He can throw the arrows and then pull them out. And by doing this, Israel are cured and redeemed. There are more issues represented in the same tale, telling us about several other tzaddikim who boasted about their special qualities and capabilities. One boasted that he knew how to extract one kind of arrow, and another one boasted that he could extract another kind of arrow. But after all of their praise and self-compliments, the very great tzaddik explained to them that there was no way for them possibly to cure the wounded princess. There was no way whatsoever for them to truly cure Israel completely, because each of them could only extract one kind of arrow, which represents the ability of each of them to rectify a specific lack or defect of Israel. Whereas the true tzaddik and full cure has to be performed by the one greatest tzaddik and no one else, because he is the only one who is capable of extracting all of the 10 kinds of arrows. These immense and well-intended tzaddikim, each one of them relating his capability and ability to extract one kind of arrow, were all coming from the aspect of the blessings written in the Torah. These blessings which are endowed upon us and bring out the goodness within us, but they do not have what it takes in order to bring us to the final and eternal redemption. Whereas the true and full cure of Israel, the final and eternal redemption, depends solely on a nothing other than the curses written in the Torah. Because these curses are coming from the essence of the tikkun of the great tzaddik, the one who is himself throwing all of these 10 kinds of arrows in order to extract them afterwards. And together with the extracting of these arrows, he is also extracting all and any kind of negativity and badness which seem to become part of us. With this process, we will attain the Geula and our complete rectification. Therefore, we must know that these curses are actually great and wonderful cures, which are being brought forth and derived from the highest source of creation, which is the aspect of water. And all of these curses have been thrown at us from this source. And immediately, when they enter us, we experience this as if we are losing all hope due to the harsh judgments coming with these curses written in the Torah. But then, immediately, the one who threw them, he withdraws these curses. And by doing this, all of the evil which has latched unto our souls is pulled out also. And then, all of the charm and beauty of Nishmat Israel are revealed. And this is the main cure and healing of Israel, this revelation of the immense goodness concealed within them, bringing out that Israel are absolutely pure and clean, perfect, beautiful, and shining in the eyes of Hashem Yitbarach at all times. And even a person of Israel, who we would have thought to be the worst kind, full of filth and very evil acts, it will be shown that all of his faults have nothing to do with him at all, and are nothing more than what shows up as a result of the arrows penetrating him. But in his true essence, there is nothing other than pure goodness. And when the Torah seemingly curses the sinner and the person who goes against the commandments, is not doing this in order to actually hurt him or curse him, but rather for a different purpose altogether. In order to have the arrows penetrate and then be removed immediately. And process reveals that the curses are truly the greatest blessings in the world. The blessing of the extraction of all uncleanliness that has gotten stuck onto our souls, after which we are left totally cleansed and purified, as Israel truly are at this is shown in what Rashi wrote in chapter 32 of the book Devarim. In verse 41, the way of HaKadosh Baruch Hu is not like that of human beings. A human being of flesh and blood shoots an arrow but cannot draw it back. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu shoots his arrows and can then draw them back. A person is made of flesh and blood, and that is why he perceives the curses written in the Torah as real curses. Because when a person made of flesh and blood throws out an arrow, which is like a curse and judgment, he has no way to draw the arrow back. And therefore, if the arrow hits someone, it definitely will cause damage. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu is not the same. Rather, HaKadosh Baruch Hu can throw an arrow and withdraw it at any moment, at any stage. And these are the curses written in the Torah. The Torah shoots an arrow and a curse solely for the purpose of withdrawing it. And this is the main tikkun, rectification and cure. we must look at our Holy Torah with a positive view, with an Ayin Tovah, not to think that the Torah is working with our limited consciousness, not confined to our limited das. The Torah is written in the way it is according to the language that we are familiar with, the language of this world, the language of flesh and blood. But the real Torah itself is totally godliness, Elokut. There is nothing in it other than pure light and goodness, total compassion and mercy. And we have to start learning the Torah and perceiving the Torah in a different way, not with our regular eyes and regular perception, but through the eyes of the Torah. And the eyes of the Torah are eyes of compassion and goodness. And therefore, even when we read words which sound like curses, we must realize that they are coming only out of compassion and loving kindness, only in order to bless Israel with a blessing which is much greater than any blessing which we would be able to perceive with our regular das and understanding. And these great blessings are the ones that have to do with our complete rectification and Geulah, which are disguised in the format of arrows being thrown at us, judgment and dinim. But there is nothing to be really worried about, because concealed within all of these dinim are blessings coming from mercy and compassion, and they do not truly pierce us and hurt us, chas v'shalom, but rather they are just the process that will eventually reveal all of the true goodness which is concealed within us.